Are you still eating a protein bar and banana for breakfast, a sad little salad with grilled chicken for lunch, and calling that a healthy plan? Listen, if you're trying to lose weight on 1,200 calories or less per day, you're not boosting your metabolism, you're wrecking it. That's why you feel stuck, tired, and frustrated. The faster way isn't about starving yourself. It's about eating more of the right foods, balancing macros, and fueling your body so it actually burns fat, builds lean muscle, and supports your hormones. Join my next round of the faster way and finally learn how to eat for results, not punishment. Click the link in the show notes and let's do this together. Health, wellness, fitness, and everything in between. We're removing the taboo from what really matters in midlife. I'm your host, Michelle Folan, and this is Asking for a Friend. What's the difference between praying for something and actually manifesting it? Prayer is about asking. Manifestation is about becoming. In midlife, when so many of us are ready for reinvention, that distinction really matters. Today's guest, Steffani LeFevour, also known as Coach Steff, is a manifestation mentor, happiness coach, and author who helps women turn desires into reality by aligning beliefs, mindset, and action. If you've ever wondered whether your dreams are possible, this episode will make you think differently. Steffani LeFevour, welcome to Asking for a Friend.
Thank you for having me. Love that intro. I'm intrigued. I want to talk about it. I want to hear more.
Well, I think this audience is going to be very intrigued about what you have to say. I want to start first with your journey and your story. Tell us a little bit about how you first realized that you had a bit of a gift to helping others and really about creating your own happiness.
Wow, great question. I think when I was young, I had kind of a rocky, tumultuous childhood, but I didn't know that because when you're in it, it's just normal to you. You know, I thought everyone had a childhood like this. I had an alcoholic father who was pretty violent. We never talked about it. We never processed it. My sister died when I was 11. She was 18 in a car accident.
Oh, gosh.
And we didn't have, grief therapy or counseling or anything. Maybe it was available back then in 1981, but we didn't have access to it. And really, my family just froze. We did the best that we knew to do at the time with what we were given. And it was just a lot of grief. I feel like now I look back and we were all on our own grief islands, just trying to survive, and to support each other as best we could from our own island.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know, did it build our family up? Yes. Did we get closer? Yes. But we all shut down for decades, not knowing how to grieve and how to support each other. So I just had a plan to throw my life away. That's all I really knew. I saw my dad do it. I saw it happen to my sister. I thought when you get close to people, they leave, you lose them. I can reflect now, hindsight is so huge. When you reflect back on your childhood, you can see it all with a different lens. But at the time, it was just, really heartbreaking. I felt very broken and very unlovable. I felt like I was broken and unworthy of a happy, healthy life. So when you have that and you're 11, 12, you're a teenager, you're in your 20s, what I did was just sort of sabotage my life and spiral out of control. I drank a lot and I partied and I failed a lot of classes and I got fired from a lot of jobs. And, it was all I knew to reach for the better feeling of partying and, being in the moment because my feelings and my history was too much for me to deal with. So we're going real deep right away, but I'm sharing all this because I think I knew when I was young that these experiences happened for me so that I would best learn about loss and about spirituality and about life and about happiness and about inner strength and inner peace. Because without all that, I don't think I would have found my way to it.
Yeah.
So I think I pushed that away for a long time, but I always had a calling. And I can see, when I was 20 and I was writing my brother a birthday card when he turned 18, and I was only 20 and I was in the midst of my sabotaging self-destructive behavior. And I was saying to him in this card, life is so precious. Like, stay in the moment. Like, be all that you can be, because you are so special and you're so gifted, and you can be and do and have anything you want in this life. You are meant for greatness. And so
Wow.
he gave me this card that I gave him, and I was shocked. He gave it to me when, in the last decade. I was shocked to see that many years ago, I was preaching the same thing I'm preaching now.
Right.
That I had that inside of me, and I was sharing that with him. So it was always there. I really denied it for a long time. I tried to sabotage it for a long time, but it was always there. And I think in college, I think I hit many sort of milestones or dark nights of the soul that built into like the becoming of who I am now. Like one time in college, I kind of realized I have two roads here. I can keep sabotaging my life, or I can start climbing my way up to happiness. I'm going to have to do a lot of work to get there. I read the book by Marianne Williamson, A Return to Love, and it taught me about forgiveness. And I was like, this is a concept that has never been introduced to me. And I was probably 19 or 20 at the time. And I was going, what? Forgiveness? Not to mention like forgiving the girl who was driving the car when my sister died, but forgiving my sister for leaving, forgiving my dad for leaving, forgiving my dad for his addiction, forgiving myself for the self-destructive behavior that had been going on for the last 10 years. Like so many beautiful concepts. It was like I was left at this, fork in the road. Do I ignore these concepts and this, inner work? And I was, the watching Oprah, and she was turning me on to new authors, and I'm here reading Marianne Williamson, and then Wayne Dyer, and then Deepak Chopra and Pema Chodron, and all of these, magical, really insightful tools. Do I ignore them and just go back to the self-destructive behavior, or do I make a choice? So I made a conscious choice, and I had this rock that I had found in the woods at a keg party that I had put in my pocket. I took the rock and a book of Maya Angelou poems, and I went down to a river nearby at Eastern Illinois where I went to school. And I put all of my sadness and all of my fears and all of my unforgiveness into this rock. And I read a Maya Angelou poem, and I threw the rock in the river. Like, where did I have this ceremony and ritual? I don't know, but I needed it because the self-destructive behavior was so strong. The past trauma and childhood wounds were so strong, and there was something pulling me in the other direction. And so I did that, and I had this energetic shift. And I wouldn't say everything was like rainbows and butterflies after that. It wasn't like, oh, and now I didn't get sober. I didn't get healthy and happy, but it was like a nudge in the right direction. It was like I agreed to make the climb up the mountain toward figuring out my own happiness and finding my own, soul's journey. So I made a choice,
Yeah.
and I'm really grateful that I did. And I became kind of a personal growth junkie after that, soaking it all up and doing everything that I could get my hands and my heart on.
Well, there were two paths you could have taken, right? You could have continued down your path, which a lot of people do. And you can't blame them sometimes, but with everything that they've been through in life, it's hard to get yourself out of that, to pull yourself up. But I know it's hard for you to define what this wake-up call was, but something pulled you in another direction. And it's just fascinating how we make these life choices that, are so profound. And, look where you are now.
Yeah, a lot of the life choices, some things happen that aren't as conscious. Sometimes you get fired from a job, or, for me, my boyfriend checks into rehab, things like that you're not consciously making a choice. It's like God or the universe is making it for you. It's slamming a door closed, it's opening another one. So that was a conscious choice back in college that made a big internal shift that I still reflect back on to this day.
Many of my listeners are women in midlife. I would say mostly maybe 55 plus, somewhere around there.
Mhm.
They're going through those life transitions.
Mhm.
They're maybe career and empty nesting, relationships. Sometimes this is where they have the epiphany that maybe they're not happy in their marriage. They're taking care of their ill parents. How do you feel like your own life transition, all of them, so you've been married, you have kids, have shaped the work that you do today?
Yeah, it continues to get shaped, right? I just turned 55 a week ago. And gosh, it changes so much. I've been with my husband for 29 years. We've been married for 19 years and together for 29 years. And it's like when back in college, I decided to start climbing that mountain, I thought that was the mountain. But then you get a new career and it's a new mountain. Then you decide to get married and it's a totally new mountain. Then you have a, preemie baby and it's a brand new mountain. Then you have a second kid and it's a new mountain. Then you go through decades with a person and it's a new mountain, new mountain, new mountain. Then you start a new business. So there's so much reinventing. I think we are undervaluing all of the reinvention that we've done through every decade of our life and putting almost a little too much weight on the midlife reinvention, because we are forever changing and growing and becoming. And we have done it up until now, and we can make a decision to do it, out of fear or out of faith, right? Out of like being reactive or proactive. Like I proactively decide and choose to reinvent myself all the time. I tell my kids and I tell any of my clients all the time that you get to decide how you want your life to be, and then you get to make it that way, period. So if we are always living with that forward, with that lens, I get to decide how I want my life to be, and then I get to make it that way with my career, with my kids leaving the house, with my husband and my relationship. Even though it takes two people, I get to decide how I want it to be, and I get to make it that way. That's really what manifesting is all about. And we have the power to do that if we have that, if we wear that lens, first of all, because within that lens is a story. And we create from our 5 power tools. We create from our thoughts, our words, our feelings, our beliefs, and our stories. And our stories contain a lot of those things, a lot of feelings, a lot of thoughts, a lot of history. So if we have a story that is, when my kids move out, when I'm an empty nester, I'm just going to fall apart, and our relationship is, teetering on the edge, and it's getting worse by the year, and I gain 5 pounds every year because it's menopause, and all of these are stories. We don't have to believe them. I'm in the best shape of my life at 55. The best shape of my life. I've never felt better. I've never looked better. I've never felt sexier, healthier, happier. My relationship is in the best place. It's like incredibly fulfilling and connected and fun and loving and just like passionate. It's awesome. I love being a parent of teenagers. I feel like I was born to be a parent of teenagers. I love it so much. And I know that's not normal. I know it's not a normal thing.
God bless you,
but,
Steffani.
Yes, but it's the story that I've chosen. And so it is my reality. Our stories shape our reality. So it's my reality. And I gift that story to anyone else who wants it. You can jump on with any one of these stories and take it on as your own, because you get to decide how you want your life to be, and then you get to make it that way. And so we get to choose our stories and look at the ones that don't work for us and rewrite them.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I've got so many questions for you. We are going to take a quick break, and when we get back, I'm going to talk about the difference between manifestation and prayer. If you've been following my journey, you know I'm passionate about helping women build strength and protect their bones. That's why I've partnered with Osteo Collective, an incredible resource for anyone navigating osteoporosis or looking to prevent it. Inside, you'll find expert-led classes, strength workouts designed for bone health, nutrition strategies that actually support your body, and a community of women walking the same path you are. It's not just information. It's actionable tools to help you stay strong, mobile, and independent for decades to come. You can try it out for yourself with a free 1-week trial. Just head to the link in my show notes and start exploring everything Osteo Collective has to offer. All right, we are back. I know you have talked quite a bit about the difference between prayer and manifestation, and I think this is a really good place to start. Can you break that down for our listeners?
I mean, it all depends on how you define prayer and what you look at prayer as. You know, a lot of people define prayer as praying to God when you're in a place of need and desire. You know, please, God, I pray for my son to make the hockey team. Please let him make the hockey team, right? That is usually what I would say 98% of people think of as prayer. You know, laying down at night and saying, thank you for all these things. And please also give me that promotion. I'd really like that promotion. And then we think of manifestation as all these other things when we do vision boards and we do meditation, and we're like, athletes have been visualizing since the dawn of time. They've been meditating and visualizing on these certain things. Well, what is the difference? I don't know that there's that big of a difference. We create from those power tools. So if in prayer, you are thinking and feeling and believing in something, you're manifesting it. If you are sitting in prayer and saying, please let my son make the hockey team, but then all day long you're complaining, you're upset, you're in a negative energy, you know, you're yelling at him because he's irresponsible and he's not committed enough. All of that is also a prayer. Everything that we think goes out there. Everything we feel is reflected and magnetized back to us. Everything we believe is manifested. Every story we tell, every word has wings. And so it's all a manifestation. And you might look at that as it's all prayer. That's okay. If that word works for you to say, oh, that for me is praying, then great. You know, I use the word universe and source, and people say, are you talking about God? I'm like, sure, I can use that word too. So I hope that doesn't leave more of a question, because there is not really a difference. It's in the decision. So I create more of anything that I give my energy, attention, and focus on. So I will create more of what I pray for. But also, what am I doing the majority of the day? We create from our dominant thought. We create from our dominant feeling. We create from our dominant story. So if one time in the day I was like frustrated and I was just like, oh my gosh, that was so frustrating, but the rest of the day I was joyful and hopeful and happy, then I'm creating from that place. If the majority of the day we're frustrated and one moment in prayer we're begging and we're pleading and we're hopeful, we're creating frustration. We create from our dominant feeling, our dominant energy, right? And so it always comes down to, what have I been thinking, feeling, saying? Who have I been being? Because that is all going to be reflected back to me. You don't get more of what you want. You don't get more of what you need. You don't get more of what you pray for. You get more of who you are, what you have been embodying. That's the good news and the bad news.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, I better watch my thoughts.
Yep.
You know, because you can say one thing, but you can almost self-sabotage.
Yes.
With your thoughts.
Yeah, we have these dominant stories that are always running. And I can tell you a lot of self-sabotaging dominant stories that I had running. I had running a bad story that I was a terrible mom, that my kids were so misbehaved and it was because I was such a bad mom. Until I woke up to that story, I could never change it. And I had this frustrating bedtime battles, and, you know, they were always getting trouble at school. And it was like this terrible friction. And here I am, I've been doing this work for 30 years, and I run into that because it was this sneaky story of, you didn't know if you wanted to have kids because you were afraid you'd be a bad mom. So now it's a self-fulfilling prophecy and you're a terrible mom. Oh, I have that story running. No wonder I see everything they do as misbehaving and bad, because it's the universe trying to show me that story.
Yeah.
Right? It's like when we have these underlying stories, we're announcing to the universe, please only show me my kids when they're horrible and bad and misbehaving, and show me what a bad mom I am. Thank you. And then the universe is like, okay, only let things happen that show her what a bad mom she is. Don't let her see the good stuff. Don't let her see the kindness. Don't let her see when her kids are really sweet and amazing. Only show her the bad, it's reflecting back to me anything that I asked for. So when I had this like mommy monster moment and I was on a life class with Oprah and Dr. Shefali, I had like a mom intervention. I woke up to that on my own. I went, oh, wow. I was always afraid I was going to be a bad mom, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Oof. I have to do the work on that story, and I have to turn it around. I am a good mom. I'm a really good mom. I am the mom that my kids need me to be. I might not be a perfect mom, but I am the mom that they need, and I am doing the best with all that I've got in this moment. Look at the difference between those two stories. They're night and day.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I had that wake up, another one of my awakenings, I started operating differently as a mom. I fully embraced being a mom of my kids. They were at that time like 4 and 7. And I started loving it. And I started seeing all of their light. And I started seeing all of my light. And I started telling them every night that they're the light and that they're meant for greatness. And I started just like really opening up to this stuff instead of stomping around like this mom that was always trying to control them and so terrible. And the same thing in my relationship. When I started after many, many years together with this guy, we have this epic love story. We met when we were so young, and I know we have a soul assignment to be together. But after years, you can kind of forget that, right? It can kind of start drifting away from you. And I started having a dominant thought of, gosh, he's so negative. Oh my God, we communicate so poorly. We couldn't be on opposite pages. Oh, he drives me crazy. He's a workaholic. He's never available. And guess what? The universe responds and goes, make sure he's never available. Make sure they communicate poorly. Even though he's like charming and sweet and kind, make sure she only sees his negativity and his grumpiness. I'm creating it myself. John is like a player in my world, but I can change it by changing my story. So when I recognized and realized that story, oh, I can change this story too. I changed it to like, we're so connected. We have this epic love story. We have a soul assignment. And I don't know if I softened or he softened, but we show up for each other always. And we laugh a lot and we have a good time together. And it's been a long time and it is better than ever. That's the story that I experienced.
I was giggling only because I'm like, yeah, I probably do that. I mean, I know I do that, right? You put something out there the other day because I told Steph, I follow you on Instagram and I find it so motivating for me. But it's not just about the self-talk, but really saying something great's going to happen to me today. Good things are coming my way.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is such a remarkable way to start any day, is to let yourself know that good things are coming. You're going to have a great day. And it seems so simple, but it really does change the trajectory of your mood for the day.
It does. Well, it's the reticular activating system in our brain. When we decide that we're going to see good things, just like I said with my bad parenting limiting belief and my bad relationship limiting belief, when we decide that, that's all that our brain starts to look for and that's all that we see. So when we say something great is going to happen today, I used to say to my kids when they were little and they would join me on these mantras, which they don't anymore. They're teenagers. That's fine. I used to say, today is going to be and they would say, great day. I'd say, I'm open and receptive. And they'd say, to all that is good. And I'd say, miracles. And they say, find me now. And that primes us for all of those things. A great day, being open and receptive and seeing miracles. When we decide today is going to be a great day, we are looking all day long for how it's a great day. When we go big every morning, we begin in gratitude. We're looking all day for the things that we're going to be grateful for the next morning. With my clients in my inner circle, we do at the end of every night, we do the soul happy moments. What are the soul happy moments? Those moments that made me happy to my core that happened today. So it's a shift because we're usually preparing for the worst and focused on what went wrong. It's just the nature of how we're wired. It's unfortunate, but we're wired for that. We're wired for negativity. We're wired for unhappiness. We're wired to protect ourselves. I hated hearing that. I've read all the books about it, but we can hardwire ourselves for happiness. And it takes things like you just mentioned, like today is going to be a great day. I am open and ready for a great and amazing day and to witness all of the miracles that are coming my way. That sets you up for success. It's science. It's not just woo-woo, it's science. It's the bridge of woo-woo and science.
My daughters and I went to a psychic on my birthday. We've done this now 2 years in a row. And I was talking to the psychic about my business and that sort of thing. And he's got a religious focus. But I didn't realize at the time what he was asking me to do was manifest. And he kept saying, you need to ask for what you want. And he said, and be very, very specific about what it is you want. And he talks a lot about spirit and angels and that sort of thing. So that can be really any entity you wish it to be. But I was wondering, are there other best practices that you suggest for manifesting?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes, we have to ask for what we want. What and why is up to us. How and when is up to the universe. So you have to focus on what you want. What I teach as far as manifesting are these 4 steps to advanced manifesting. Regular manifesting is ask, believe, receive. That's been around for centuries. Abraham Hicks shares that. And that ask, believe, receive. It's like, we know that asking is asking for what you want. Believe, how do I do that? What even is that? And receive, that's even more elusive. So what I teach are these 4 steps to manifesting. The first one is ask for the general end result of what you want. I call it a header, highly desired end result, HDER. The highly desired end result is how you want to feel. So for my business, I want to help more women find more daily happiness. Like that's always been the highly desired end result for decades. So if that unfolds in a book or followers or a website or courses, who knows? But the highly desired end result is that I want to feel fulfilled by helping women find more daily happiness and understanding their soul assignment, having a better soul experience. I am all in. I want to feel that. So focus on the header. Step 2 for me is the ask. So I teach manifesting very differently than most. Step 2 is ask for how, like ask to be shown the way to that. So it's a very different ask, not I want the thing, the career, the 6 figures. I want the guidance to be shown what is the most efficient and effective way to get that feeling. Because the universe provides the how. So there's a million different ways. It might not be that this launch happens, but it might be that you get that book contract. It might not be the book contract, but it might be the, speaking gigs. So show me the way to that feeling. Give me all the guidance and make it very clear. Step 3 is take inspired action when you get that guidance. Like I just had an idea the other day to send an email to a book agent. Now, I already have 2 contracts for my book, 2 offers of contracts for my next book, Soul Assignments. But I got this idea. Someone told me about this agent. I looked her up. I was really impressed. I got the idea when I was on the treadmill and I sent the email. That's taking inspired action on the guidance that comes. If the universe is showing me how my message can reach millions, how my book can get out there and change the most people's lives, I need to take that inspired action. And step 4 is something that a lot of people don't teach and don't talk about. It's how you receive. It's being okay no matter what, being happy in the now. I can't sit here like in lack and grumpy and complaining and expect that I'm going to get a book contract and everything's going to work out and my relationship's going to be great. And no, I need to be so happy in the present moment that this is how I allow in that dream. I have to be so grateful and so happy in my life, which I am, like almost moved to tears on a daily basis, that like I'm okay without it. If I don't get that book contract, if that book doesn't ever get out there, I am blissfully happy no matter what. That's how you receive. So being okay no matter what. Focus on the header, ask how to get there, ask for the inspiration, take action, and be okay in the now. Be so happy and grateful that you don't need it. That's how you detach from it, and that's how you allow it in.
And I think about women our age, I'm 61, that think I'm too old. It's too late. This is just how it is. What can you suggest for someone that has that overwhelm? One simple manifestation practice that they could start just even tomorrow.
I think, it takes a choice. Like you're either reactive about your life or proactive. And I find most of the women that I coach are my age and your age. I think when we're younger, we don't have these deep spiritual awakenings. And by our 50s and our 60s, we wake up to power by reflection, power by wisdom, power by becoming. And so I think we have more desire for it. Like that's why you do this podcast. That's why women listen to your podcast. That's why women join my courses. So you have to want it, because if you just are happy operating your life by default and being reactive, then you'll just keep doing that. That's fine. That is 100% fine. I have so much acceptance for people who choose that road. But if you've been hearing the call and you have some desires and you are no longer satisfied with what you look around and see in your life, usually with like your level of health and fitness, with the way you're showing up for yourself, with your level of growth and expansion, with your relationship, with your career, sometimes it can be all of those things. You can be going, God, I feel like I'm kind of settling. I don't know how many years I have left. This is so precious and important. Why aren't I being more proactive about it? Why aren't I being more intentional about it? Then we have to take action to make a change. And it takes a lot of work. I'm not going to deny that it takes a lot of work. It's like we've gone down this old path in the woods and it has found us to this safe clearing, and we can be content there. We look around and we like it there. But there's this other clearing over here that has a lot more fulfillment and a lot more growth and a lot more expansion and a lot more joy and some new things. And we're like, ooh, I want to get there. Oh, but there's no clearing to get there. I have to actually do the work to clear the woods to like get to that clearing. And it's a lot of work. And sometimes it's too much work. And I just go back over here and I go back to complaining and I go back to getting on my phone first thing in the morning. And I go back to back. We have to use some tools to create the new path in the woods to get to the new clearing. And I promise you, the nudge, the voice that you've heard, it won't go away. The feeling of settling doesn't get better. It gets worse.
Yeah.
So the one tool I would recommend is to prime yourself every day, to focus on your morning. Because if we create from these 5 power tools, you have to think about how you feel every morning. What you mentioned, like today is going to be a great day, is a great tool to use in the morning. Not reaching for your phone, beginning in gratitude is a great tool. Drinking lemon water before your coffee, getting outside in nature, taking a few breaths. I'm not talking about the gurus that share the morning routines that are like 20 minutes of a high intense interval training workout, 20 minutes of meditation, and 20 minutes of writing. You're like, do you even have a kid at home? Like you're a primary parent? Because I really doubt it. You have a job? What do you do? Because that is what like the male gurus all share about these morning routine things. Wake up at 4:30. If you're not up by 4:30, you're a piece of shit. It's like, I do what feels good to me. I wake up, I begin in gratitude. I do a soul happy daily planner that I created myself. That's for the women in my courses. because I'm focused on writing a new story. I'm focused on my gratitude. I'm focused about what could go great in my day. I'm focused about how can I prevent anything from going wrong in the day. And then writing a new story, I'm finding evidence every night. I'm looking for the soul happy moments. Like I am proactive about how I feel. So take the gurus out, take all of the like shoulds out, and think about what can you do starting tomorrow morning to prime yourself and feel a little better than you feel so far. You know, what would feel really good? Would it be to have your cup of coffee outside on your front porch and just have 3 minutes of like silent reflection? You know, would it be to write down things you're grateful for while your coffee is brewing? Like you can stack a habit, but what can you do to feel a little better in the morning? That's a small thing that we can all start that really creates big change.
There really is a self-care component to this about integrating healthy habits that focus on you.
Mm-hmm.
I try to tell women all the time, taking care of yourself and your well-being, and that includes your mind, is not selfish.
Mm-mm.
You know, and I think this whole idea of manifestation and seeing what else is possible in your life. I mean, for me personally, I don't want to be 85 years old and have regrets that I didn't try something or I didn't do the thing, because to me, that would be worse than failing.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
that's one of the number one biggest regrets of the dying is that I never lived true to myself and made my happiness a priority. Right. And so many people, I'm going to sneak in one more formula here. I call it the new reality formula. We try and create a new reality by taking action. And that is not what creates a new reality. So like my husband and I are in a bad place. My health is in a bad place. You know, I'm going to start doing date nights and I'm going to join a gym. That's a great idea and it won't last. Because what we need to do is put our state first. We need to feel different. We need to feel connected in our marriage. We need to feel healthy and happy. And then our story next. We need to think thoughts that are better. We need to have a better story about our marriage and a better story about our health and wellness. And then our strategy will work. So it's S plus S plus S equals R. Your state, how you feel, how you prime yourself matters first and foremost. You can change all the strategy you want, but if you feel bad every day and you're complaining all the time and you're negative and your thoughts are aligned with that it's never going to change, you're never going to change. So your state and how you feel plus your story and what you think about has to be aligned or no change is going to happen. Then the strategies that you take and the actions you take will create a new reality. We can't just change from action alone. We have to have our state and our story on board. So what you said about self-care, why it's so important, it comes down to the science that is our energy and our state matters. How we feel matters, and it creates and it attracts. So if we have no self-care and we're running on overwhelm and that builds into resentment and criticism and, you know, a lot of worse things, we cannot get out of that. It's a spiral downwards. Self-care helps give you that priming space that you can feel better, you know, and then your husband comes to you with a problem and you're like, what is it, babe? I'm ready. How can I help? We've got this. We're a team. If you haven't had any self-care, imagine he comes to you with a problem and you're like, you deal with
Yeah.
it. Why are you coming to me? Get out of right? I mean, it's just, if you were hungry and angry and you got pulled over by a policeman, it would be the same thing. If you were in a great place and you had a great morning and you got pulled over, you'd be like, officer, I'm so sorry. How are you? How's your day? What can I do for you? What happened? What did I do? Right? It matters. It's all inner out living instead of outward in living. If you're outward in living, you will always struggle. If you do inner out living, you will always find peace.
It's this law of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
It's so, this stuff just, I get goosebumps. I love this stuff. I do want to talk about your book. You wrote, You Are a Badass Mom. I would love to know what inspired that. and who you wrote it for.
Yeah, I wrote that a while ago when my kids were younger and when I had my big monster mom moment awakening, where I really realized about that limiting belief that I'm going to be a bad mom, and it was playing out in my life. I've been in this world teaching this stuff for decades, and I saw people writing books and becoming bestsellers on Amazon and all this, and I was like, I can do this. I can do that. I have a message inside of me and I want to share it. So for 10 years, I wanted to write a book. And then I decided to pick a launch date, and I wrote it in 2 months, and I put it out there, and it has sold thousands of copies, and it's on Amazon, and it became a bestseller on Amazon. And it's really sharing through my own personal experiences of discovering my limiting beliefs and turning them around and being reactionary to life and becoming proactive about my life. So it's just my journey of using all these tools as I've continued to climb that mountain. And it's been an amazing experience. I love being an author and having that out there. People buy it every day and tell me that they love it. It means the world to me. And I wrote a second book called Soul Assignments that is probably the reason I'm here on this planet, is to share these messages of soul assignments. And so that's really exciting, and it will hopefully be out next year.
That's exciting. Well, we'll have to have you back.
Yeah, I'd love to.
When that book comes out, and we can talk more about that, because congratulations, by the way. Finishing a second book is, I know, I've had enough authors on the show to know that there's quite the process there, but that's admirable for sure. Mm-hmm. How do you work with clients today? What does that process look like, from like the first conversation to maybe that breakthrough?
Well, I love working with women in a group coaching container. I started doing one-on-one coaching 15 years ago when I started my business, and it was everything to me. It was like be all end all. I have one-on-one clients. This is amazing. And then I realized I was saying the same thing all after, one after the other, and it wasn't as effective. Because women would come to a one-on-one call and they'd go, okay, what was I supposed to do from last time? I don't remember what we talked about. Catch me up. And I'd be like, we got a lot of work to do here. And when I put it into a group container, women felt more accountable. So I have courses. I have a manifesting mastery course, a next level life experience. I have more content than anyone could probably ever absorb, because that's what I love to do. When you graduate from my courses, you get an opportunity to join my inner circle. And my inner circle is where we have a couple calls per month, and I share content every month. We have a challenge every month. We have a hot seat coaching call. We do the manifestation work. Like, we're doing wheels of focus, and we're doing future polls, and we're dreaming bigger. We're flexing our dream muscle, and we're supporting each other, and we're checking in on the challenges. And so the inner circle is where everyone ideally wants to land, because that's where the rubber meets the road, where you're integrating all of the work. And we share our wins every Friday, and we, share what went well every Monday. Like, it is the work. Right now I have a 5-month container that I just put together for my birthday a couple days ago. And so that's only available on my Instagram bio page. It's not even on my website, because I literally asked my team, let's put both of my courses back to back and offer it at a really low price and see how many people want to join this 5-month container I do group coaching. So, coaching is one thing, but community is something totally different that helps you grow and transform. And then accountability is what takes it to the next level. So this contains coaching, community, and accountability. So we have 2 calls per month, so I can hold you accountable to do the work in the videos and in the homework, so that you don't just like hear something and put it away and never apply it. So it's a really wonderful container that creates the most transformation.
No, I love that. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
Can you share a success story? You have a client that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I have so many. I mean, a lot of my clients have been with me for 5 years or more. I started my first mastermind 7 or 8 years ago, and some of them are still in my inner circle and getting coached by me. And, these women, I won't share their first names. I'll call this woman Nina. came to me because her relationship was in a really rocky place. They had been to a mediator. They were considering getting divorced. He was sort of straying in another relationship, and she was devastated and hateful and resentful and angry. And we looked at in my course with her in group coaching, like what she wanted and why she wanted it and how she planned on getting it. And she wanted this relationship. She wanted to repair it. Their lives were so intertwined. They had a business together. They had kids together, and he wanted it too. And so she did the work, the inner work that she had never been presented with before. You know, a lot of this work that is deep spiritual work, it might be very common to me now, but it is uncommon to most people. Like, these concepts are not that common. That's why when I put this stuff out there in reels on Instagram, it can go viral and it's very popular because it's like, wait, what? I get to decide how I want my life to be and then I get to make it that way? What? Wait, I can be more proactive. Wait, I've got these 5 power tools. What? We're not presented with this that often. And we're wired to the negative and we're wired to complain, and we find people that are doing that and it feels really comfortable. And she decided she didn't want to live like that. And so she turned her relationship around. She turned her inner world around, and she turned her relationship around. And I hear from her all the time because we are gratitude buddies. So we share gratitudes all the time about how much she appreciates her relationship now. And it came so far, and they're so happy, and they travel around, and, you know, their son is off and graduated from college, and their other son has a girlfriend, and like, they made it work. And I don't think there's any better success stories than resuscitating or rescuing a relationship, because I think our relationships are part of our soul assignment and why we're here. And I think, especially in this country, I think we just cut ties from relationships too quickly because we can't stand in the face of the storm and do the work that it takes internally on our own. We always think it's the other person that has to change. We're not ready to do the work that it takes to show up in the relationship as who we can show up as. And so that's I'm most proud of that, when this work has helped save some relationships and marriages.
That's so nice. And you don't get that necessarily in marriage counseling.
Yeah, a lot of times it's talking about your past and your trauma and, you know, like hashing all that out. Like, we just have to do the inner work and, you know, show up for each other and lean in, and it's all available to us.
Yeah. I do have a personal question for you. What is one of your non-negotiable self-care priorities? What is it, something that you have to do for yourself without a doubt?
Well, I never used to be very good at habits. You know, I wasn't like a morning person, and I didn't have, wasn't really good at like morning routines and stuff. So I say that because now, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I am very disciplined, but I never used to be disciplined. I made a decision to get more disciplined. I used coaching, community, and accountability to get more disciplined. Like, just recently in my inner circle, I said to them, I've been getting the nudge, I've been hearing from Source that I need to shake up my morning routine, and I want to do a cold plunge every day for 30 days. And it's not easy. It's hard. But
are you insane?
When I say I'm going to do something, I do it because I said I would, for no other reason than because I said I would. So I have a daily practice of getting in the cold plunge at 46 degrees for 3 minutes. And it is amazing. It's so hard, and it feels so good when you're done. And it like skyrockets me to another level of like confidence. I'm challenging myself. I'm showing up for myself. When I decide something is a non-negotiable, like my workouts or, my supplements or getting outside daily or learning a new thing, I decide it's a non-negotiable. It's a non-negotiable. I do it because I have the community and the accountability so I posted a picture every day, a picture or a video of myself in the cold plunge every day for 30 days, because that's massive accountability. So that's how you create a new habit or a non-negotiable. You have someone hold you accountable. And I have that built into my business that I love so much. These women all decided what their non-negotiables were, and they were commenting under the photo every day. It's so powerful.
It's good stuff. You all need to follow Steffani because you will be incredibly inspired by her community. I've picked up so many wonderful tidbits and habits that I am using every day. And I was so excited when she agreed to be on the podcast because I think women in midlife, Steph, really need to hear this. They need to be empowered to step out of their comfort and go after the thing, right?
Shake shit up.
Yeah, shake shit up, right?
Yeah, and use new tools because the same things aren't going to get you a different result. You know, being reactive to life, putting out fires everywhere, always responding to everybody, serving everyone's needs before your own is not going to get you a different result. Like, take your power back, step in your power, start doing some things for you, work on your inner world, stop handing away your emotional well-being to everyone outside of you in every circumstance. Because we think, oh, the school is just so, and oh my God, the government, and oh, my husband. And well, if you saw my situation, take your power back, start with you, do the inner work, all the peace is available, all the joy is available. You can choose how you want your life to be, and you can make it that way when you're in your power, but not when you're in victimhood. So it's all available. And I love sharing that every day I can and every way I can on my Instagram.
And speaking of which, how can people find you?
Yeah, on Instagram, I'm Coach with Steph, and that's Steph with 2 F's. Coachwithsteph.com is also my website. But I live on Instagram mostly. I'm on Facebook as well, but that's about it. I may have a TikTok page, but I don't really go on it. I have a social media VA who posts on there, so you might find me on there, but I'm not on there. I go live on Instagram a lot. I share stories a lot. So yeah, find me on Instagram and on my website, Coach with Steph.
Fantastic. Steffani LeFevour, thank you for being here today.
Thank you. You're so great at this. Thanks for having me. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for listening. Please rate and review the podcast where you listen. And if you'd like to join the Asking for a Friend community, click on the link in the show notes to sign up for my weekly newsletter where I share midlife wellness and fitness tips, insights, my favorite finds, and recipes.